There's a certain kind of silence that only exists at 3 a.m. It's heavy, it's oppressive. Most people are asleep, safe in their beds. But for those of us who work the night shift, the world is a very different place. We see things that aren't supposed to be there. We hear sounds that logic can't explain. Tonight, I have gathered 3 terrifying tales from people who worked while the rest of the world slept. Stories of intruders, unexplainable phenomena, and the feeling that you are being watched. Sit back, turn off the lights, and let's begin. I used to work at a gas station just off the interstate in rural Ohio. It was an easy job. Mostly, I just sat behind the counter, played on my phone, and sold cigarettes to truckers. It was a Tuesday, around 2:15 a.m. The store was dead quiet. I was restocking the cooler in the back when I heard the door chime. Ding-dong! I walked back to the front counter. Standing there was a man. He was tall, wearing a dirty trench coat that looked like it was 3 sizes too big for him. He was staring at the wall behind me, just staring. "Can I help you, sir?" I asked. He didn't answer. He didn't even move. I felt a knot form in my stomach. You get a sense for people when you work nights. Your instincts tell you when something is wrong, and every alarm bell in my head was ringing. Slowly, the man turned his head to look at me. His skin was pale, almost gray. But the worst part were his eyes. They were wide open, unnaturally wide, and in the 3 minutes he stood there, he never blinked, not once. "Gas," he whispered. His voice sounded dry, like sandpaper rubbing together. "Pump number?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "No car," he said, "just gas." He reached into his coat pocket. I tensed up, terrified he was about to pull out a gun. Instead, he pulled out a crumpled wad of cash and slammed it on the counter. Then he turned around and walked out the door. I watched him through the window. He didn't walk to a car. He walked toward the edge of the property, toward the dark woods that lined the back of the station. I locked the front door immediately. My heart was pounding. I went back behind the counter to call the non-emergency police line, just to report a suspicious person. That's when I saw it. On the counter, where he had slammed the money, there was something else. Under the cash was a Polaroid photo. It was a picture of me, taken through the window of the gas station, and written on the bottom of the photo in red ink was a time, 2:10 a.m. He had taken that photo 5 minutes before he walked in. He had been watching me from the darkness outside before I even knew he was there. I quit that job the next morning. I never found out who he was or what he wanted with the gas. But sometimes when I'm driving at night and pass a lonely gas station, I still check the tree line. Hospitals are strange places at night. During the day, they're places of healing. At night, they feel like waiting rooms for death. I worked security at a mid-sized hospital in London. My job was simple: patrol the floors, check the exits, and make sure no unauthorized people were wandering around. The hospital had a west wing that was under renovation. The entire 4th floor was closed off. No patients, no doctors, no electricity. Just dark, empty rooms covered in plastic sheets. One night, around 3:30 a.m., I was in the security booth watching the monitors. Suddenly, the elevator alarm triggered. Someone had called the elevator to the 4th floor. I frowned. That floor was locked down. You needed a key card to even press the button. I grabbed my flashlight and radioed my partner, Dave, who was on patrol in the lobby. "Dave, check the elevator. Someone's playing around on 4. "Copy that," Dave said. I watched the monitor as Dave stepped into the elevator. I saw him go up. Then the camera on the 4th floor corridor flickered to life. The emergency backup lights were on, casting long, creepy shadows down the hall. The elevator doors opened. Dave stepped out. I watched him on the screen. He walked about 10 feet, then stopped dead in his tracks. "Dave, what is it?" I asked over the radio. Static. Then, "Command, there's someone standing at the nurse's station." I zoomed in with the camera. Sure enough, at the end of the dark hallway, a figure was standing behind the desk. It looked like a woman in a hospital gown. She was facing away from the camera. "Hey!" I heard Dave yell through the radio. "You can't be up here!" The figure didn't move. Dave started walking toward her. "Ma'am, I need you to come with me." As Dave got closer, the figure slowly turned around. On the grainy black and white monitor, I couldn't see her face clearly, but I saw Dave's reaction. He stumbled back, falling onto the floor. He was scrambling backward on his hands and feet, screaming, "Close the doors! Close the doors!" Then the camera feed cut to static. I ran out of the booth and sprinted up the stairs. When I got to the 4th floor, the hallway was empty, totally silent. I found Dave passed out in the elevator, the doors repeatedly hitting his leg as they tried to close. When he woke up, he refused to speak about it. He resigned the next day. Months later, I met him for a drink. After a few beers, he finally told me what he saw. He said when the woman turned around, she didn't have a face. It was just smooth skin, and where her mouth should have been, there was just a stitched-up scar. But that wasn't the scary part. He said she was holding something. In her hand, she was clutching an old hospital wristband, and the name on the wristband was Dave's. Isolation does things to the human mind. I spent one summer working as a fire lookout in a national forest in Oregon. For those who don't know, a fire lookout lives alone in a small tower on top of a mountain for months at a time. Your job is to watch for smoke. For the first 2 months, it was peaceful. I loved the solitude. But in August, the atmosphere changed. It started with the radio. The radio is your lifeline. It connects you to the dispatch center miles away. One night, a storm rolled in. The wind was howling, shaking the entire tower. My radio crackled to life. "Lookout 4, do you copy?" It was the voice of the dispatcher, Sarah. "Copy, Sarah. Go ahead," I replied. "We have a report of a hiker missing in your sector. Keep an eye out for any flashlights or fires." "Will do," I said. I grabbed my binoculars and scanned the dark tree line below. Nothing, just pitch-black darkness and rain. About an hour later, the radio clicked again. "Lookout 4, help me." I froze. It was Sarah's voice, but it sounded distorted, wrong, like it was being played backwards and then forwards again. "Sarah, say again, is everything okay?" "Let me in. It's cold. Let me in." My blood ran cold. The voice wasn't coming from the radio speaker. It was coming from outside the tower, directly below the catwalk. I grabbed my flashlight and shined it down the stairs. Standing at the base of the tower, looking at me, was something that looked like a deer, but it was standing on 2 legs. It opened its mouth, and Sarah's voice came out perfectly. "Lookout 4, open the door." I slammed the trapdoor shut and locked it. I barricaded it with my heavy desk. I grabbed my rifle and sat in the corner, aiming at the door. For the next 4 hours, the thing didn't leave. It kept mimicking voices. It sounded like my mother. It sounded like my boss. It sounded like me. "Open the door. Open the door." It scratched at the wood, long, slow scratches. When the sun finally came up, the sound stopped. I waited until noon before I dared to look outside. The creature was gone, but all around the base of the tower, in the mud, were hundreds of footprints. They looked like human hands, but with fingers that were far too long.
I hiked down the mountain that day and never went back. The rangers told me it was probably a mountain lion and that the isolation caused auditory hallucinations. But I know what I saw, and I know what I heard. Mountain lions don't speak with your mother's voice.
They say the night is darkest just before the dawn. But for some of us, the darkness never really leaves. It follows us home. It hides in the corners of our memory. So, the next time you are awake at 3 a.m. and you hear a strange noise outside your window, don't look. Just pull the covers up, close your eyes, and pray that it moves on. Thank you for listening. If you survived these stories, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You never know when the next nightmare will begin. Good night, and stay safe.